What's going on, everybody? This is Brian Mazique, aka UniqueMazique, the hardest working man in sports and gaming, and it's another episode of At Me Bro. This is At Me Bro 16. What's going on, Nelson Naked Face Blake?
Yeah, man, had to cut it off for a little while. We'll be back hopefully in a couple of days.
Yeah, boy. You know, I'm trying to tell you, face naked like a baby booty, baby.
You should have seen it the first day when it was all smooth. Like now I got my scruff coming back.
You got
Thankfully.
no scruff back. You know, scruff back. Yeah, whenever I shave off my facial hair, my wife look at me like, you know, I just like that's not even a normal person.
Yeah, I usually keep at least something. But
yeah, she started singing Deborah Cox. She started singing Deborah Cox to me when I cut. How did you get here? So I don't know. It ain't working out. But I think we have a decent show today. I want to give I want to give a shout out to everybody who's been watching the shows up to now and subscribing and all that. We definitely appreciate it. We got some things happening. So we want to what usually happens is over the course of a show, Nelson throws me under the bus 2 to 3 times over the course of a show. That's just
we ain't gonna start on a positive note.
The over under on you throwing me under the bus is what, 2 to 3?
You know, it's still Black History Month as of the recording of the show.
Yeah,
we ain't gonna start on a positive note.
I'm drawing a parallel to someone else.
Did you get that Zach LaVine card, by the way?
I did not. I got the Laurie Marketing.
Oh, well, congrats on
that. Yeah. He's on the bench right now. We're talking NBA 2K, my team, but he's on my bench right now. But I do have an all Bulls everything lineup, which is only Chicago Bulls are allowed on that lineup. So Laurie is definitely on that one. But anyway, let's talk about somebody else who has seemingly picked up some very Jimmy Butler like tendencies. And I say this, and I'm really I'm a big LeBron James fan. I am massive. He's my second favorite player in the world, right?
Who's
my first favorite player being Jimmy Butler. No, not at all. My first favorite player, obviously, being Derrick Rose, and LeBron's my second favorite. But I have to call it out when something horrible happens, and I'm really not feeling LeBron throwing his teammates under the bus at any point. Now, I talked to somebody else, and they was like, well, he's throwing people under the bus, and he didn't have that good of a game. Well, here's my thing. I think you're missing the point with that, right? First of all, he had a triple-double. But to me, it doesn't matter how good of a game you had. You don't do that, man. I don't understand what this thing is with people getting in on and they put these joints right here in people's face and they get to talking about their teammates. Man, I swear I still to this day don't see how that is beneficial ever.
Well, I come at it a little bit from a different angle, even though in general I agree with you. I think there's an optimal, ideal way to be where you pick guys up, you don't put guys down when you're on a team. But at the same time, when things get competitive and you're asked to perform at the highest capacity, if you feel that someone has made that deal to do that and they're not holding up their end of the bargain, that is just the nature of competition that some people call it out. And some people need to be called out. That's the other thing. It's not always, we like for competition to only work one way. But sometimes it works ugly. Sometimes it's because people didn't like each other and had something to prove to each other, or this person needed a kick in the pants more than a pat on the back. Sometimes the suit that makes a successful situation isn't what we were ordered. But at the same time, I don't think that's this situation. Specifically, like you talk about a guy like Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant, 2 guys who were known for calling out teammates, but they were also the guys who were working the hardest on the team. And I think Jimmy Butler's issue, not to make this about him, is he views himself as such a hard worker that he has a intolerance when it comes to people who don't work hard. LeBron, now, whether we like that or dislike that, that's another debate for another day. But I'm saying this is a different situation because LeBron James is putting out some of the least effort particularly on the defensive end, but just overall in certain plays, he's not putting out a lot of effort. You know, he's walking up and down the court. He's not going after certain rebounds. And whether it's injury or not, you have to recognize that the less you do, the less you're able to say. And he can't sit there based off his reputation. Look at a guy like Brandon Ingram or Kyle Kuzma, who's making clutch shots, holding those guys up, going to the basket, getting fouled, making crisp passes, and LeBron catch the ball, tuck it under his arm, point at one guy, point at another guy. Like, there's two crimes, in my opinion, when it comes to LeBron. There's the brand of basketball that he's playing, which is just demoralizing. And then throwing people under the bus on top of that, for me, it's a double homicide.
I agree, but I agree. The effort is horrible, and my faithful subscribers to the At Me Bro show, I cannot wait till this channel gets partnered, and hopefully we get partnered with a specific brand that allows us to use NBA footage in our videos, because right about now is when I'd have on the screen this little excerpt of a period of the game against the Memphis Grizzlies, where LeBron was literally he stood in generally the same spot for, I want to say, a 7 to 9 second interval on defense, and literally didn't move nothing but his arms.
Yeah.
While the ball rotated from back and forth across the floor.
Dude, on help defense, literally, guys are looking him in the face, right?
Yeah.
And seeing that he's there and deciding to go for the basket. And people are trying to blame the ball penetration. Ball penetration is not ball penetration when you're being driven to the help to that severity. If LeBron James was virtually any other starting power forward in the league, that's not a shot that guys would take. But he's playing defense so poorly that these drives towards the help are now open lanes because he's just looking people up. That one play where Mike Conley had a guy riding his hip, he literally looked directly into LeBron James's eyes, was like, and laid the ball up. And LeBron just watched him, like literally jogged over and then decided to do nothing. That's crazy. No player should get away with that, particularly a starting player.
Yeah, I think the defensive effort is just terrible, and it's made even worse. It's compounded when you want to talk trash and talk about your teammate. But like I said, here let me make this division, right? I don't care if he went for 50 and 50 and played 48 minutes of balls to the wall defense. I still don't think the right thing to do is to get a mic in front of your face and criticize the effort of your team. I don't have a problem with you calling guys out and going to a guy and saying, hey, Kyle, hey, Brandon, hey, Josh, hey, Lonzo, who didn't play, obviously, but hey, whoever, man, I'm busting my butt out here, though. Dude, I got championship rings. I've been to blah, blah, blah straight finals, and I'm still busting it. You ain't never won nothing, man. What's going on? We supposed to be out here doing this together. Do you not want to win? What's going on? Like, I have more respect for that happening behind closed doors. And, you know, I also think that it's more ultimately effective to do that. How does it help you to sit in a locker room, especially considering the fact, whether it's true or not, many of the people on your team think that you might have had a hand in trying to get them traded for Anthony Davis?
So here's the thing, and I want to make this clear. I'm not jumping on the side of people who call out their teammates in the media, but I'm saying it doesn't matter how I feel about it. What matters is, does that work in some situations? And it has. Phil Jackson, as you're familiar, made a career out of, you know, talking to his players in very underhanded ways through the media. Now, here's the thing. What never works is you not playing defense, you not giving effort, and then talking about your teammates who are giving effort. That is a team obliterating type move. And I think that's why in this situation, even though we can talk about guys talking, period, whether or not you should be talking that kind of crap, that's fine. But this is the worst version of that, to ask people to do the very thing that you're not doing.
Well, honestly, like, I feel like there's a little bit of a difference there because we're talking about two different roles. We're talking about a head coach and a player. And I know LeBron is LeBron. So the lines get blurred sometimes with him and what he should and shouldn't be doing. But at the end of the day, he's a player.
I mean, Shaq's done it too, though. Shaq has done that too. He's several times said, sly comments through the media about, guys not carrying the ball.
And I don't think it helped him either. I think if anything, it only helped to increase the animosity between him and Kobe, which, I mean, ultimately, Shaq ate his way out of LA, ultimately, for the most part. But I don't think that helped either.
It look like LeBron doing right now. I know he's been off his feet, but he looks heavy.
I think he looks heavier. I think he just looks heavier in
because he hasn't been able to run. But the thing is, I'm not saying whether or not it's right or wrong. That's exactly my point. I'm not saying whether it's right or wrong.
But I don't think you were saying, does it work? I don't think that
if you got a championship, then whatever you did worked. That's in fact, that's what most champions will tell you, is the journey is not meant to be perfect, but everything is justified once you get there. So
I'm trying to remember, when did that happen in a championship season? And I can't recall a star calling out his teammates in a championship season, and that I can't recall that happening, period. And then I definitely can't recall that sparking them to a championship. Okay. I can't remember that. I can recall it happening during the breakdown periods, where a team or a championship level team fell beneath their expectations.
I mean, Shaq, and then now from frustration, he talked about Kobe all the time. Like, he would always say stuff about sharing the ball, like in their early championship years. Especially the more Kobe developed, the more Shaq said that stuff. So it wasn't like it just popped up, after Shaq started gaining weight. He always thought, you can see him talk about it now. He'll refer to it, and you can hear some of the same quotes he'll talk about sharing the ball, because he said from his second year in the league, they talked to him about passing out the double team and so on and so forth, and that became a sticking point with him from the very beginning. But my thing is not to debate about that. People have said things about their teammates while they were on championship teams. It has happened before. Do I like it? Don't love it. I'm saying that has happened and you've won. What has never happened and you've won is for your star player, best player, to not play defense and throw his teammates under the bus while he's doing so. That's never worked. And that's my point here, is that what LeBron's doing right now, same thing what we said last week about with the Luke Walton thing. Whether Luke Walton is a Hall of Fame basketball coach in the making, I don't know. But LeBron undermining his coaches the way he's doing is making the team worse. And I think right now, what Kevin Durant said about his toxicity has come to fruition, because he has done nothing but undermine every element of this while looking like some string puller in the background. And I do not think that has been positive for the Lakers going forward.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that I think that has been proven is that LeBron is a very bad loser, and you have to consider that, it's just when things don't go right, when things don't go right, he's at his worst, and that's most people. But it to the degree that it is with LeBron is definitely disturbing, because I told someone yesterday, I can't even remember who I was talking to, but I said LeBron is not the type of guy that you want on your team unless you feel that we're a champion. And this is weird, because he generally means, his presence generally means that you are a championship level team. But if you think that you get LeBron and there's a chance that you guys might not be quite good enough, you got to really think twice about whether or not that's who you want. Because when things start going down, he starts to, you know, and some people say, oh, Mike and Kobe would never do that. I don't know that that's the case either. I don't know that that's the case. Social media is different. It changes everything these days. And we are privy to so much that a player does and says on a day-to-day basis. And when Mike was playing, we were not as privy to everything he said or everything he did. We do know some things that he did that are definitely anti-teammate. But so I don't know that I can say that like that. But I think one thing I remember is that every great player has an element of an a-hole to them.
Sure.
Every one of them. I mean, I don't care who it is, Magic Johnson, every one of them, you know. And I think that nowadays, with the way social media is and the increased attention and the 24/7 access, so to speak, to people, we just get a chance to see that much more depending on the level of the star. And I think that that's what's happening with LeBron.
See, I don't think that's the problem though with LeBron, because LeBron, most people agree that LeBron is an admirable person overall.
No, I'm not talking about as a human being, like in terms of his philanthropy and charity and all of that. I'm talking about as a teammate.
But see, the thing about it as a teammate, with that I say specifically, is LeBron is constantly undermining what is happening if it's not his way, if it's not his choices. And I think that's the biggest problem, specifically with the Lakers in this way. And I've been talking about this for weeks on end. And people are starting to talk about it in the media now, too. I've been saying, really, since they acquired LeBron, the Lakers were on a development timeline. Now this guy comes in with basically
LeBron times. Yeah.
LeBron timeline real short. The problem is that the Lakers, since sending D'Angelo Russell out of town, have been constantly doing moves that undermine the choices that they've made. So even when they make good choices and something good happens, it gets undermined later on with this LeBron timeline. You know what I'm saying? And Magic Johnson situation. So for instance, Brandon Ingram, we said on the show, the guy's not trash. He just needs the ball in his hands. And he's been on a tear. He's been looking phenomenal. They were about to sell him for 50 cents on the dollar and get nothing out of him. When, and we discussed this on this show, last year, Luke Walton developed him. We talked about Luke Walton getting all this flack for not developing young players. Meanwhile, Julius Randle looked great. Lonzo Ball has turned into one of the better young defenders at guard. I mean, Luke Walton didn't give him his jump shot. Can't blame that on him. He didn't teach him how to shoot free throws. And Brandon Ingram last year played at the point guard, was development. LeBron comes in, Brandon Ingram all of a sudden doesn't even know what to do, completely stunted his growth, and they almost got rid of him for nothing. And it looks like
you're saying for nothing. Brandon Ingram was going to be it was involved in the Anthony Davis trade. How's that for nothing?
They weren't trading him straight up. They were trading him and every single other piece of young talent.
Yeah, but you can't say that's for nothing, though.
The reason I say it's for nothing is because this is the point. The perception of the Boston deal had Jaylen Brown valued equal or above Brandon Ingram to a degree that doesn't make sense. And that perception of Brandon Ingram's lowered value came from what was happening on the court earlier in the season. Because if Brandon Ingram had continued the exact same trajectory from last season into this season, with LeBron doing really what more he has to do when he's injured, which is let Ingram cook a little bit, then that deal wouldn't have looked the way it looked. That's what I'm saying. It's not that getting Anthony Davis is a bad thing. Of course not. I'm saying the fact that you can put all this young talent on the table and the Pelicans feel comfortable to say, nah, that guy sucks because you treated him like he sucks. That's my point.
Well, I don't think I don't agree with that. I don't think that they can say that because you treated him like he sucks. That the Pelicans organization has their own talent evaluation, and they can determine which deal is right for them. And it was smart for them to say, even if they did like the Lakers package, they hold all of the cards because they have player control over Anthony Davis for an extended period. And they want to wait to see what the Boston Celtics offer is. They have no reason to rush. So I don't think that them saying we don't want the Lakers offer right now is a direct connection to them saying we don't value Brandon Ingram. I think it's this deal where they're saying, well, let me wait and see, because this is just smart business. You want to make sure that every suitor has given you their best offer because you're still working on your own timeline. The Pelicans have their own timeline.
The reports from everyone was that they never even for a second considered the Lakers package.
See, I don't put, but I promise you, doing what I do, I can promise you that you can't take those reports for word all the time, because as someone who creates these headlines, it's easy to send the people off who simply read them.
I mean, that's fair. I'm going by multiple sources. Like,
yeah,
I don't. And they also said that the leaks that came out of that was a direct get out of our face from the Pelicans.
See, but that doesn't
purposefully undermine that. And Magic Johnson himself said they never discussed that with us in good faith. There's
so much contradictory stuff out there. There were things of people saying that you know, that they were mulling over the offer. Then it comes back. None of these teams are ever going to speak specifically about this stuff. Most of this is always going to be fan speculation. Whenever it gets into all of this stuff, it's always going to be and then people always go, oh well, they never thought about this, and you're applying this absoluteness to a rumor, and you learn over time that you can't keep doing that, because if you took every rumor and said, oh, they wanted this player, or oh, they wanted that player, you'd be misled several times. So I'm not saying that it's 100% not true that you know, that the Pelicans never seriously considered it. What I'm saying is we don't know what value they have on Brandon Ingram, and them turning this deal down doesn't necessarily mean that they didn't have a value on him. And I can't trace and relate that all back to LeBron, saying LeBron stagnated Brandon Ingram's growth. Or I do believe that when you add a player of LeBron's caliber, it changes your team. You also, if you add a player who needs the ball and who dominates the ball as much as LeBron, I think it changes your team. I think he's a ball dominator in that way where it's going to have that type of an impact. So I think that going any further than that is, I mean, I don't know. This is part of what I'm saying in regards to how you end up getting so much over coverage. Now, LeBron is guilty of plenty things. You know, he's guilty of plenty of things that are not ideal, right? But because of the level of over coverage of every single thing that he does, he gets more credit than he deserves, and he gets far more blame than he deserves for everything. Like, there could be an earthquake in LA, and somebody will try to find some kind of way to say, well, LeBron's presence is probably what caused the seismic shift. And it's just like, okay, at some point we do have to say the dude is a player. Okay, he's a player. And because actually we talk about LeBron being a coach killer, in a lot of instances, I think LeBron takes some of the blame that should be on a coach. LeBron is a player. If you want the ball moved, if you want them to play, if you want your team to play a different way, you're the coach. You have to implement the system that you want used. If you want to tell LeBron, hey man, let's do it this way. We need you to allow Brandon Ingram to get his offense going. Ultimately, that's going to be better for the team, because we need his development. We need him to be able to put pressure on the defense. We need him to be able to go off the dribble. We need that. If you are too intimidated by LeBron, then you shouldn't be coaching him. You shouldn't be coaching him. And then instead, when a LeBron team plays a certain way, then it's, oh, that's LeBron. He forces everything to be played that way. LeBron, the coach can call a timeout. The coach can say, LeBron, come sit. If you're too intimidated to do that, okay. Then
I don't think it's a matter of intimidation. I think it's a matter of when LeBron came in and the whole team was on a LeBron timeline and LeBron having the ball in his hands, the organization started to move in a different direction. And LeBron, I think that we talk about, like you said, there's some things that he's culpable for. Same way it took Pat Riley basically strong-arming him into stop undermining Eric Spoelstra. He's not going anywhere. You can stop throwing tantrums. Magic Johnson doesn't have the wherewithal or in this situation to prevent LeBron's negativity from affecting the team. And that, for me, that's what the entire topic is about, really, is that LeBron's negativity is affecting the team. And LeBron could get much more out of this team, even if all of those young guys eventually got moved, if he just invested into them and Luke Walton and said, you know, I'm riding with these guys. I believe in this talent. We're going to do with what they, you know, we're going to do the best that we can under these circumstances. And part of that, and I said this when he was on Cleveland, part of that is not saying I'm only going to play offense and I'm going to let you guys play defense. That is part of it. It is an actual on the court thing. Luke Walton can't force him to play defense. You know what I'm saying?
You can't force him to play defense, but if you think Luke Walton isn't noticing his lack of effort?
What can
he's
do?
the head coach. He can say, "Come sit down."
Yeah, I think that's very unrealistic right now.
I don't think that's unrealistic at all.
LeBron
I think it's unrealistic because people are allowing him to. You're the coach. You're the coach. If you sit LeBron and somebody, obviously you're going to be in a press conference afterwards and say, "Man, LeBron didn't play for the last 14 minutes of the game. Why didn't he play?" Just like you said, Phil Jackson would throw guys under the bus and would say, "Hey, you know, I didn't like this from this guy," or whatever, or be openly critical. He said LeBron didn't play because we felt that we needed a higher level of defensive effort, and I went with the unit that I felt would give me that level of defensive effort.
I think you are living in a dream world. Kobe Bryant fired Mike Brown by looking at him. All right, so LeBron James is too powerful in the league. And here's the thing: to say that lets LeBron off the hook for being thoroughly uncooperative, both as a player and as a teammate.
I don't think it lets him off the hook at all, because I think you have visual evidence. Because what's going to happen is Luke Walton's going to say that, and then somebody in the media is going to pull and put together a video package that says Luke Walton has a point. Here's why he sat LeBron. Look at LeBron's defensive effort in this sequence. Look at during this time period, the Lakers were with LeBron on the floor were -10. The effort on defense just isn't there. Now you're going to have some people going to say, "You can't sit LeBron. LeBron's this, blah, blah, blah." LeBron's going to sit on the side and he's going to say whatever he's going to say. Here's the thing: if you're Luke Walton and LeBron doesn't like you, you're going to get fired anyway. If everything is equal to what your perception is, or what everybody else is saying, like LeBron runs it all, LeBron's just pulling these strings. If that's the case, in my opinion, you might as well coach. You might as well coach the team.
And see, that whole might as well coach the team situation. This is my point. This is what I'm saying about LeBron James. He's putting his coach in a, if I say what really needs to be said, I'm basically writing my resignation letter type situation.
But I don't think that's any different than any other star. Magic Johnson got Paul Westhead fired.
But I don't think Luke Walton is that kind of a coach. Well, first of all, even the situation they're in, and this is my point, when you have young talent, instead of undermining your young coach and undermining your young talent, if you make them as good as possible, then you will get more value out of them, whether they stay there or they leave. And what I've been saying about the Lakers for a while is they're a poorly run organization right now. And LeBron, bringing a drama queen in there, makes it worse. And that's my whole point with the topic is LeBron is making a situation worse.
I don't think we disagree about most of that. I just feel like I disagree basically with that being an effective tactic in any championship situation. I don't think it's an effective tactic. I also disagree with the fact that Luke Walton's hands are tied. That I don't agree with. I don't think his hands are tied. I think that Luke Walton ultimately ends up coming out better if he says, "I'm going to coach this team," because somebody in across the NBA, some decision maker is going to respect the fact that he coached the team, and they're going to give him another opportunity if it doesn't work out. What I'm going to do is if I'm not Magic's guy, I'm just not Magic's guy. So I'm in trouble anyway, but I'm going to coach the team. And if I don't get the effort that I need, and I think LeBron is hurting my squad, then I'm going to say, you're going to sit for this time period, and we're going to see, we're going to get it together, because you may be on track to be an owner at some point, but you're not one yet, LeBron. Right now, you're still a player.
Except for when he was under Pat Riley, LeBron James has been doing whatever he wanted for a dozen years in this league.
And that's part of the thing that people have an issue with. I've heard another coach say people are afraid to coach LeBron. They're afraid to coach him. And I think you have to coach him. You have to coach him. Now, here's the thing. You got to know what you're talking about. And you got to be right. And you got to be able to point it out to him. Now, I don't know. I'm not saying he's going to go, okay, yeah, coach, you got a point. He's probably in his head past that point. Okay, fine. But you're going to sit until you understand. Well, and I'm not saying you're not going to start or nothing like that. But at key points in the game, if I see that I'm not getting from you what I need, I'm going to treat you like a player. Just to me, I think that's, I don't know. That's just, I don't know. You can't, because I mean, if you're Luke Walton, you're sitting up here getting shot anyway. You get beat up anyway.
Here's the thing. In all situations, it's the gift and the curse of LeBron James. The gift is he's a great player and he's a basketball genius. The curse is, and he's probably the most powerful active player in NBA history.
Yes.
And some guys had coached while they was playing. LeBron's still more powerful, right? So the curse of that is, with his power comes his great responsibility on the one hand, and with the genius means he don't want to be told nothing. But we got to get to the next topic.
Yeah, he definitely he doesn't want to be told anything, and that's for sure. But you still, like I said, you still got to coach him. There's a lot of people, that don't want to be told anything. There's super important employees at every business that don't want you to tell them nothing. But that don't mean you stop managing them. It just doesn't mean that. At the end of the day, he's still an employee. He's an important employee, but he's still one. So that's about that. But we got another basketball topic, but I think we're going to save that one for last. We're going to jump into something else because we're talking about killing stuff. So we're killing Luke Walton. We're killing LeBron. So I got a question, or actually Nelson has a question. Did Apex Legends kill Anthem? So that was something that you were talking about, Nelson. So tell me where you were with that.
So I think the main thing for Anthem is they would have had a pretty decent base if it was a better game, right? Every review agrees the game's basically not finished. It's got too many bugs. Doesn't have an end game. It has its own problems. But I think that with these kinds of games, what often happens with a lot of them is they have a chance to be saved down the road because they have enough of a hardcore base that as the patches come out, as the updates come out, more people start to come back to it. And they usually sell pretty well at the outset. A bunch of people leave, they get mad, game gets better, a bunch of people come back, sequel comes out, that does well. That's usually the path when the games don't launch at a high level. Destiny's an exception because it sold so well when it came out and it dominated that the problems didn't really affect Destiny on paper, right? When you look at the Division and stuff like that, sometimes it's a longer road to success. In this case, what people don't realize is even though they're different kinds of games on the surface, what they're asking you to do, spend a lot of time with your friends going online and shooting stuff, there's only so much of that you can do. And when a game is as big as Apex Legends, I think the baby never gets born. And I think that's a serious fear for Anthem right now, is that so many people are playing Apex, that Apex is a tidal wave that you need a lifeboat to survive it, So with Destiny, they have their fan base. With the Division, they have their fan base. With Overwatch, they have their fan base. Apex affects all of these games. Fortnite, they have their fan base. Obviously, Fortnite's still doing well, but they still took a chunk out of Fortnite.
They had a 50% dip in revenue last month.
Yeah, that's serious business. Now, obviously, Apex and Fortnite are very, very close cousins, but it's the same people that would have been playing Anthem. And when EA put out their Game Changers program, who did they tap for Anthem players? They tapped the Destiny players. some of those Destiny people are streaming Apex Legends. So people who don't think that Apex Legends has had a hand in possibly killing Anthem to the point of no return, I think they're fooling themselves to a degree. Although Anthem would have done a lot better if it would have been a better game, but I think Apex Legends turned most of the gaming world into a, oh, I don't have to care about that game, then I don't care about it. And there's basically mostly two kinds of people when it comes to Anthem. There's people who are angry at it and people who don't care. And the people who do care, whether they like it or not, are a very, very, very small group.
Yeah, I certainly don't think that Apex Legends helped Anthem, but Anthem on its okay, I haven't been playing a lot of Apex Legends, right? And it's not because I don't think it's good. I think it's really good, but I realize that, just I can only do so much battle royale, and it's my appetite for it is relatively small. So that's why I don't play a lot of Apex Legends. And also I don't play a lot of Apex Legends because I wish they had solos. I wish they had a free-for-all. I think that would be really dope if they did. And if they do get that, I'll probably play it more. But I say that to say that has nothing to do with why I barely touched the digital copy of Anthem that I bought. The reason why is because when you play Anthem, it just isn't fun.
Yeah.
It just doesn't draw you. It just doesn't, it's bland. It like you see some stuff in it and you're like, oh, that looks kind of cool. But there's just nothing there that compels you to continue to hit the trigger button to shoot. Nothing. It does, you don't get a visual or a tangible feedback in the controller from doing any of the functions. The look of the game is muted to a degree. Their attempts to try to make you care about characters and things like that from a human standpoint fall completely flat. It is just literally there.
Now, while I 100% agree with you with all of that, right? That's all true. And I think ultimately that would have been why they needed a lot of work to get their fan base going. The big difference between Anthem and The Division and Destiny 2 in a lot of these games is it looks like Anthem is not going to sell well at all. And I think Apex coming out has hurt even the people who would have been fooled by the hype. I think it took a lot of those people away.
Well, I think what hurt the hype quite a bit was Apex Legends coming out because that kind of stole its thunder. But I think the really poorly received beta and demo also really hurt it quite a bit. It was just like kind of like, and when a game like that comes out, you're still supposed to be on the honeymoon. Early on and pre-release and stuff like that, you're still supposed to be hot for the game. And things cooled considerably based off of the actual firsthand experience with the game. And then that's when it's kind of like,
people were dead smack in the middle of that feeling. And then what most people consider the best battle royale game just comes out of nowhere from the studio that made their last favorite Call of Duty. Like, I'm with you. I think Anthem's, has itself to blame for the lion's share of its problems. But I think that if there's 4 nails that go into the coffin, I think Anthem pounded that last nail in. I'm sorry, Apex Legends pounded that last nail in.
Yeah, it's like I agree that it's a part of it. I think that the bigger part though is just that the game ain't good, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so I don't know, but let's shift gears a bit to UFC. UFC 235 is coming up, and this is a really big pay-per-view. I mean, this has got some stuff on it. Like, I'm for real. Like, this isn't one that they're selling like, hey, take a look at this. It's a UFC. I know how much you love fighting. you're gonna watch it anyway. No, this is good. This is good stuff. I mean, um, and even before we even talk about the main card or whatever, a card is pretty solid when you're seeing people on the prelims that you're like, oh, that might be a pretty good fight. That's when the card is strong. The early prelims are kind of just okay. I guess the best fighter on the early prelims is Polyana Viana. She's fighting Hannah Cyphers. The other ones, Charles Byrd is very disappointing to me. He came from Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series, but I am very unimpressed with his fight IQ. I'm not, but he does fight a undefeated fighter on the early prelims, Edmund Shabazian. I haven't seen him fight yet. I'll watch him before the card comes around. But when you get to the mid-level prelims, that's when you're like, oh, okay. Diego Sanchez against Mickey Gall, Cody against Alejandro Perez, Johnny Walker, who we've talked about on this show, against Misha Serkinov. That's a serious challenge for Johnny Walker right there to find out if he's for real as a light heavyweight. And then Jeremy Lil Heaton Stevens against one of the most exciting, well-rounded fighters in any division, Zabit Magomed Sharipov. That is a sick fight that could be a headline fight on the UFC Fight Night card. And then you go to the main event, the return of Cody Garbrandt against Pedro Munoz, Tisha Torres against Weili Zhang, Robbie Lawler against Ben Askren. We're going to talk about that one in a second. Tyron Woodley against Kamaru Usman. Then the main event is John Jones and Anthony Smith. So the question that I have for you is, does Anthony Smith have a chance to beat John Jones?
No. What next question? the thing about with that kind of thing is, I mean, in UFC, it's almost a sport where anybody could win on any given night, right? There's so many ways to succeed, and especially once you start getting in, once you go above 185, you can just get caught, right, by anybody. That having been said, I think when someone is as great as John Jones, and John appears to be locked in and focused, you need to prove to me that he can be beaten. And if I'm going to suspect that he could be beaten, I need it to be from someone that is equally, phenomenal. And, no disrespect, but this is not that situation. I don't think Anthony Smith is, has proven that. Now, could he have a great camp? Could he improve and show up with some tactics? Maybe see something that between his body type and because he's a big guy, his skill set, that he can have an advantage over John and surprise us? Maybe. That's the nature of the sport. Do I see that? No, I do not see that.
Well, I would agree. I don't see a chance for him to. I mean, like you said, you can always get caught.
It looked like it hurt you to agree right there. Like I saw a little, like, you know what I'm saying? Did that bother you?
No. I have been saying this for the whole week. Like, the UFC can try to sell us this fight, and I'm not saying that it's a bad fight or anything like that, or it's trash, or they have no business having this fight on. I'm not saying that at all. I mean, it makes sense if you look at the light heavyweight rankings. It's about time for him to get this shot. He hasn't really beaten anybody, though, outside of Volkan Oezdemir, which is the fight he won in his last fight. I was actually a little surprised he won. But he really kind of built himself on beating up old, washed-up fighters. Because prior to beating Volkan Oezdemir, he beat Shogun Rua and Rashad Evans, who shouldn't have been fighting.
Right.
And before that, he got knocked out by Thiago Santos, who just knocked out Jan Blachowicz, who is now waiting on the winner of this fight, and he'll probably get the next chance at light heavyweight. Now, that fight did take place when they both were middleweights, but it happened, right? Anthony Smith is a guy who has reinvented himself quite a bit, but Anthony Smith is 34-11, I believe it is. 34-11, I think is his record.
That's 11 people not as good as John Jones that he lost
I mean, and I mean, you know, I'm not gonna say and try to talk like that's just the end all be all. I'm sorry, he's 31-13 is what his record is.
Okay.
I'm not gonna try to, you know, talk like yeah, that's the end all be all because records can be deceiving because guys and girls are at different places in their career, and you'll see people who lost a ton early in their career, and now they're a totally different fighter. Because if you really look at his career, he's only lost twice in the last 5 years, and he's been very active, right? In that time period, he has an 8-fight win streak, and this is his second 3-fight win streak, right? But he did lose to Thiago Santos, and he did lose to Cesar Ferreira. So he lost, you know, to El Mutante, who is a good fighter, but not a great fighter. I just Anthony Smith is a big, strong guy, and he's a durable guy, but I don't see anything happening with Anthony Smith except for him getting beat up and punished and dismantled. The biggest problem I think Anthony Smith has with was two big issues I think he has with John Jones. One, he's slow. Anthony Smith's not a quick, super athletic guy. He's a big guy who you might look at, and before you see him move, you think he's more athletic than he is, but he's pretty slow. Secondly, his stamina isn't fantastic. If you saw him fight Volkan Oezdemir, he was dog tired, but he's strong, he's big, he got and Volkan Oezdemir's stamina is even worse. So he was able to get into an advantageous spot later in the fight and choke him out. The other issue with this, and it's not really anything Anthony Smith can do, but John Jones, like you said, does appear to be motivated and locked in and fighting with something to prove. And it's very difficult for me to imagine him being upset when he's in this state.
Yeah, and John's a very scientific fighter when it comes to breaking down his opponents. He's a film guy, you know, and instinctively he figures stuff out in the ring if you make it in the octagon, if you make adjustments. So it's when he's locked in, it's really, really hard to bet against him. And like you said, he's got a picogram on his shoulder. So
yeah, I mean, it's like it's for me to imagine him getting upset, not just beat, being upset by a person that he is so much better than. It's just very difficult for me to imagine that happening to him in this current mind state.
Yeah, and at this age too, because all of the time off that he's had has kept him pretty young
and fresh.
Yes, so John looks physically very, very strong every time we've seen him in the last couple of years. So nope.
Yeah, I don't think so. So the co-main event in the well, not the co-main event. We actually should have talked about the co-main event: Tyron Woodley and Kamaru Usman.
It's a very intriguing fight.
It is an intriguing fight.
I don't even know how to call that one because I haven't seen Tyron Woodley fight in so long, and he's getting older. I would have to really see what his camp was like.
Well, he just fought Darren Till. That wasn't
how long ago was that?
That wasn't super long ago. What was that? Maybe five or 6 months ago, maybe. The Darren Till fight was September. So yeah, about a little over 6 months ago.
So do you think Woodley will be able to basically lame Usman out?
I think that it does make the fight makes me a little bit nervous because Usman is such a good wrestler, and Usman is a good athlete on top of being that. The athleticism is the thing that makes me, gives me a little bit of pause. But Darren Till was also a good athlete, and Darren Till is ginormous. So the way that Tyron depleted him with the one shot. See, that's the thing. We haven't seen Usman really hit. I haven't seen him hit by a big time striker.
Yeah,
right?
That's what's scary about Woodley. We talked about this with Adrian Broner, right? Where he wants to be a counterpuncher, but he's not advancing the defense as the fight goes on. He just stays on the bicycle. What I mean by advancing the defense is you're supposed to continually not only take tools away, but make someone pay a tax every time they try to mount an offense against you. And the more you figure them out, the higher the tax gets, right? And Tyron Woodley's really good at that. Tyron Woodley's really good for charging a tariff on bringing the fight to him. And He's also very patient, and he's also very savvy. So in that sense, it's hard for me to bet against Woodley. Usman's on such a ridiculous tear, though, and like you said, super athletic. So it's kind of a hard fight to call in that sense because Woodley he looks young, but he is getting older. And you don't know when that's gonna. It's almost like what I said about John. Like John, he's made a little younger by what's going on, and he's not old anyway. But Woodley is older, so now I'm starting to look for that time of, well, could this be the one where we start to see that turn for Woodley?
Yeah, you wonder about that, but from what I've always noticed about Woodley is that Woodley has a problem with guys who can force him to back up. Because Rory McDonald is the last guy to beat him about 5 years ago, and he was able to neutralize Woodley's offense and Woodley's ability to counter with his length and by forcing him backwards. Now, Woodley has since made some adjustments to that, and he's beaten two guys who would have seemingly had the same type of the same type of physical dimensions and same types of skill in Wonderboy Thompson and Darren Till. So he's been able to counteract that. That's the one thing I think Woodley doesn't get credit enough for, his genius level fight IQ.
Oh, that's why for me it's hard to call, because I have such an immense respect for his fight IQ. I mean, we talked about this before, how I feel like Dana has been unfair to Woodley.
Absolutely.
Fighting great, smart fights. And when he fought guys that he felt were super dangerous, he neutralized their danger, and they get hit so hard they don't feel motivated to risk their health to take the fight from him when he's clearly winning. I don't think that's on Woodley. I think that's just how fighting is sometimes. Sometimes you get two guys who are really good, and one guy has that slight advantage, and the other guy says, the only way for me to take that advantage from you is to get knocked into next week and take a few years off my career. And I think I would just have to hold this L unless I catch you, and I don't think that's on Woodley. So Woodley's actually one of my favorite fighters, and I don't want to be biased and that's why I say it's hard for me to pick, because if I was picking with my heart, I would pick Woodley because I have so much respect for him. But I think Usman's work to date has to be respected, and that kind of for me leans me towards a pick 'em.
Yeah, I take Woodley because of the fight IQ and because of the experience and because of the punching power. I think he cracks harder than Usman. So I think that in those exchanges, I think he has the edge. I think that wrestling is probably equal. I would say that Tyron Woodley's submission skills are above Usman's. Usman's a top controlled pound beat you up type of a guy, not as much of a submissions guy. So that, just breaking it down like that, I would give Woodley the edge. I mean, Usman's only had 15 fights, but he's only ever won one fight ever by submission, and that wasn't, that was like in his UFC debut back at the Ultimate Fighter finale.
And he hasn't knocked anybody out since 2014. So
no, he knocked somebody out in 2017.
I'm sorry. I was going to say he knocked somebody out once.
Yeah, he knocked out Sergio Moraes, which is okay,
Well, it depends on the definition of anybody.
Right, you know what I mean? So yeah, I just, Woodley just has an edge in a power standpoint, and I think on an offensive submission style. So I'm gonna give him the edge. Would I be shocked out of my shoes if Usman won? No, I'd be fairly surprised, but not totally shocked.
So last question on that. Are you expecting a great fight on that one?
Not necessarily, no.
Right. Think it'll be a sleeper, or do you think Woodley will finish him earlier than we think?
I think that Woodley can finish him, but I think Woodley will make the assessment of what this fight is somewhere in the first or second round, and he'll take advantage of whatever needs to be taken advantage of in time being. and Dana and those guys and whoever else doesn't like Woodley anyway, because for whatever reason they don't like him, they can just be mad. But Tyron's going to do what Tyron has to do to win.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I respect and love about him more than anything. You can let these people say whatever they want to say. None of them are in here taking these punches.
Absolutely.
None of them are in here taking these slams. None of them are in here doing any of this. I got to win, because the moment I don't win, because you don't like me, you're going to banish me to the mid card, and I'm not going to get a shot for the rest of my career. I'm 36 years old already. I got to do what I got to do. So I got mad respect for him and for that. So it is what it is. Now, this fight would have probably have been the co-main event had UFC in Anaheim not been canceled earlier this year. Ben Askren is making his long-awaited, long-anticipated UFC debut. Ben Askren has, for probably the last 10 years, been considered the best active fighter not currently or never to compete in the UFC. There are many people who believe that Ben Askren is the best welterweight in the world.
Mm-hmm.
He's a former Bellator welterweight champion. He's a former one championship welterweight champion. He is as dominant of a wrestler as there can be. Like, he is Habibish in terms of wrestling. Him and Tyron Woodley are very good friends. They wrestled together at Missouri. They will never fight each other, they said. So it's Askren's arrival is part of the reason Woodley is talking moving to middleweight. And also the fact he's 36 years old and he's just a big guy, and continue to making 170 pounds is harder and harder as the years go on. But Askren, I think Woodley is willing to step up to middleweight and let Askren do his thing at welterweight. But Askren's got to beat Robbie Lawler first. Now, Robbie Lawler hasn't fought in a while.
Yeah.
And I think I was already beginning to see some breakage in Robbie Lawler. Because you can only have so many wars.
Yeah.
Robbie Lawler hasn't fought in over a year. Last time he fought was in December of 2017. He lost a unanimous decision to Rafael dos Anjos. He got injured in that fight, and so he's been out all this time. Robbie Lawler is an old 36. He's an old 36. Definitely a knockout fighter, but he has 40 fights under his belt. He's been stopped by KO twice, submitted 5 times. He's had a long career with a lot of grueling fights. I don't know that. I mean, this is a very interesting fight, because this is the first time we'll see Askren against a guy who is. I mean, it just depends on how you look at it, right? Andrei Koreshkov from Bellator was definitely considered a high-level fighter, but Ben Askren beat him in 2013. Was he that guy yet? Douglas Lima is absolutely a high-level welterweight, but Ben Askren beat him in 2012. Shinya Aoki is an outstanding grappler, one of the best grapplers you're going to ever find, but doesn't have the greatest striking, and Askren beat him in 2017, which was his last fight. So while he's been dominant, just smashing people left and right, 18-0 in his career, dominant collegiate wrestling background, we still haven't seen him in the UFC. And most people will say the UFC is the creme de la creme of the sport. So while my mind tells me Askren beats an older Robbie Lawler, you still have to wonder.
Yeah, I think when you look at the training that he has access to, I think sometimes when people are in those other leagues, the reason to be skeptical is because you don't know what kind of pedigree they're surrounded by on a regular basis. And it's case by case. I think in Askren's case, he, like you said, he's friends with Woodley. He's got the college pedigree wrestling, and is, eye test, outstanding wrestler, no matter who he's fighting against. You can just see that he's got the strength technique, the stamina, everything you want in a wrestler, the hips, right? Like he's got it. So I think that he's the real deal. And I don't think it'll be a situation where he fights Lawler and he faces something he hasn't faced before. Even though he might not have faced it on a professional level, maybe you could argue, like you said, he's faced some quality opponents outside of the UFC. You could argue maybe he hasn't faced that in the ring, in the octagon professionally. I think training-wise, he has. And I think he will get the job done.
Yeah, you would have to think that training wise, he definitely has faced guys like that. And then it doesn't hurt that his friend Tyron Woodley
knocked Lawler out,
won the title against one. Yeah. I mean, the fight didn't last long, but but
that's still a camp of research. You know what I'm saying? It's still data, and that's what I'm saying. Like he has access to the data, he has access to the talent, and he has the talent himself. So I don't think this is a typical case of people cutting it up outside of the UFC and then coming in and seeing what they're made of. I do think this is one of those cases where it's just a guy who just hasn't been here. And now, he's here, but his talent is there.
Yeah, Daniel Cormier told him, he said, man, just make it easy, man. Just wrestle. Just wrestle. Because, him and Daniel Cormier have the connection because they're both Olympic level wrestlers. Because Askren was, this far away from the Olympics. Is more like a technicality why he wasn't an Olympic wrestler. Many people consider him, some people will argue that he is, if not the greatest, he's one of the 5 greatest collegiate wrestlers of all time. Like he's on that level of a wrestler, right? So he's like, dude, just make it easy, just wrestle. But the thing about Robbie Lawler is that Robbie has always been fantastic at takedown defense, always. And that's the thing. If he can keep the fight standing, does he have? Obviously, it drastically increases his chances of winning the fight. But keeping the fight standing against Ben Askren and keeping it standing against everybody else is two totally different things.
He's that kind of wrestler where he doesn't just dive, shoot, dive, shoot, dive, shoot. He's sticky. He's that sticky kind of wrestler.
Yes. He gets on your back and he rides you on whatever. It doesn't matter if it's a single. It doesn't matter what level of contact he gets. It's and the thing of it is
on the way in too. Like the guy doesn't have a glass jaw or anything.
Oh no, and he's accurate enough as a striker and strong enough that you can't totally disregard the striking. Like he's not gonna knock you out on the feet, but it's enough to keep you honest and to have to defend. And if he can get you to defend the strikes on the feet, that's just enough of a preoccupation for me to take you down.
So what's your prediction?
I think I got Askren in a late first round, early second round finish. It'll probably be a TKO from top position. Or he'll take his back and flatten Robbie out and pound him that way. Either he'll choke him out that way. But it's very difficult to choke Robbie out. So because Robbie does do well in terms of defending submissions, that used to be an issue for him early, but he has really cleaned that up a lot, his submission defense. So I think that'll be interesting. All right, so as you can tell, we're excited for this UFC card. Can't wait.
Huge card.
It is really, really. I mean, this is absolutely worth buying. It really is worth buying. So
if it's amazing, I definitely would love to have our first recap show if we can get it together.
Hey, I mean, I'm down, man. We can go live for the UFC 235 recap. And I'm totally down with that. I think it'll be really cool. I've been going live a lot lately. If people haven't recognized,
yeah, I've been watching you not get those Zach Levine cards. That's been awesome.
Yeah, that's why. See, I told you, over under. How many times under the bus? But he did good because we're fairly far into this, and this is his first time doing it.
I'm happy for marketing, man.
Gee whiz.
I was just trying to tell the people to tune into your quality streams.
That ain't what it is. You come in with just all type. You have a LeBron effect when you come into the screen.
Speaking of which, for the people who don't know, sometimes we'll do stuff off the cuff here on the show.
Is that what it is?
Today I had a mystery topic, right? So there's been a lot of Chicago debates going on Twitter. Craziness about pizza.
This is already going wrong.
No, I'm actually here to give you credit.
You should be allowed to say the word Chicago anymore.
I'm here. It's the reason I'm bringing Chicago up is because I consider you a Chicago expert. You know what I'm saying? And as a Chicago expert, I wanted to ask your opinion on an important Chicago topic in the sporting world. Are you up for that, Brian? He doesn't know what the topic is for everybody watching the show. Are you down?
I don't like to be uncooperative, so I suppose, but I reserve the right to plead the fifth in the event that you are saying something that is.
All right. So this is my question. What's up with your mans?
He going through a midlife crisis.
Yo, is there a limit to where you can start your cornrow journey? Because I'm just curious, man. I'm just, what's the Chicago perspective of what's happening with your mans right here?
You know what? And I'm gonna tell you another thing. If I just said this yesterday, if you got that much space between your cornrows, that's a problem. That's a problem. The space in between your cornrows shouldn't be the size of two people's fingers putting that down in the middle. Like, you shouldn't be able to put two fingers in between each cornrow. That just shouldn't be. I mean, put that back. Put that. Let me see that again. I gotta ask him a question about himself, because see, and then you know what's worse?
What's up?
That he got a look on his. He got a look on his face.
That one got me.
Like he's supposed to be he the poster boy for ain'titcool.com.
He made a call.
Yeah, he got his hand on back here to me. Yeah, I just got these done. Hair a little tight. I went down here to the African hair braiding shop. I got it done. The hair look tight.
I mean, his braids got braids.
I mean, and they look like they are.
His cornrows got a main storyline and a spinoff.
And you know what it looks like? It looks reptilian.
It does. Hashtag Illuminati confirmed.
Yeah, I mean, boy, when he walked in the locker room, I'm gonna say, you snakehead looking. So your head like Godzilla's back.
so is the official? Is the official? The community disapproves on that.
I would say absolutely it's a disapprove. But it ain't it's almost as bad as Carlos Boozer with that spray.
Oh, now
that was bad.
That right. Portia's in the chat. Our producer has ruled it.
He said it looked like some worm. And now let me explain something to y'all. If my wife says it looks like worms, she is a braid expert. Like, she could work at anybody's shop doing, like, she does her own braids, she does other people's braids. I've never met anybody who's better at braiding than her. If she says his head looks like worms, that's really saying something. That's really saying it, because they should not be embedded. Like, it looked like his head is got melted, and those are like the little burn grooves in it. But I'm gonna tell you something. I've been talking to my wife lately about midlife crisis. It's a real thing, and it hits men at different levels. Like, I think every man feels it to a degree, but depending on how crazy you are, it depends on how much it manifests itself in you. You either have a thought of something stupid, right, or you do it. Yeah. My man said, "You know what, Gabrielle? I think I'm gonna go down here and let these people braid a knot in the top of my scalp." And she said, "Do it, baby. I gotta go film another episode of Mary Jane. You could let him Let him snatch your hair into a wrinkle.
Do you think he consulted, or was that a surprise?
I hope it wasn't no surprise, because the answer, the response he got might not have been what he wanted. He came in the room talking about something. Ta-da! Okay.
Normally, we don't like to go petty here on At Me, Bro. We discuss serious sports and gaming issues, but I had to consult the Chicago expert.
No, it ain't good, man. You ever see, you ever see somebody's porch and they got the little wrought iron things that stick down in the porch and they like squiggly lines and stuff? That's what it looked like on top of his head. It looked like a wrought iron porch. And I don't want to be involved.
Abort,
I gotta let him
turn back.
Yeah,
we'll all forget it if you change your mind right now.
Yeah, he got. I don't know. I hope he just come out with it blowed out.
Yeah, do anything else but this.
Yeah, that ain't gonna work out. But I am definitely glad we had a break to talk about Dwyane Wade, because that needed to happen. And it's actually funny because we're gonna at the next thing we'll talk about is something that he used to be a part of.
Yes.
The top 5 shooting guards in the NBA today. Now, there was a time, and I'm gonna get some hate for this. I'm probably gonna get some hate from this. So the over/under 2-3 times to get thrown under the bus. But I would have taken Dwyane Wade over Kobe Bryant in his prime. So that's just me. That's just me.
Dwyane and Ray Allen.
Yeah, Dwyane Wade, Ray Allen. I would have, but that's just me. But not with them braids in his head, but with with a normal.
We had prime Dwyane Wade before he
with a prime day before the crisis. Before it's like old a lot of old men go get a toupee when they got Dwyane Wade wouldn't get braids. So whatever. I don't understand. Anyway, top 5 shooting guards in the NBA. I want you to go first.
All right. So just for, we've been over this topic a bunch of times. James Harden is currently officially listed as a point guard and has been playing predominantly point guard. If he is considered a shooting guard, he is number 1. I still have Klay Thompson at number 2. Let me see. Number 3, I probably would say CJ McCollum. Donovan Mitchell is up there. Luka Doncic is listed as a small forward, but he plays the 2 guard a lot. Buddy Hield is up there these days. I don't know. Honestly, and Bradley Beal is up there. I feel like after James Harden and Klay Thompson, it feels like a pick'em to me. So
it must be one guy you must obviously consider a small forward. Well, I guess he does start at small forward.
Jimmy Butler, you talking about?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking
about. Yeah, well, he plays so much small forward, and he guards small forwards a lot.
Jimmy guards whoever is the dude that can score.
Yeah,
on the team.
Yeah, but no, if I don't know if I would have Jimmy top 5 the way he's playing this season
as a shooting guard.
I mean, he's up there. He's up there. That's what I'm saying, though. Like
I told you, y'all know I don't like Jimmy Butler.
Yeah.
But I ain't gonna sit up here and act like he's not.
Well, the thing is, defensively, he's up there. I consider him more of a small forward, but he's an interchangeable one. It's almost like Luka Doncic to a degree. Luka Doncic is a 2-3. He can play either position fine. The skill sets translate over, so it's really hard to say. And that's the thing is, like, in the positionless basketball era, because Paul George, I think he was started out as a shooting guard. You know what I mean? So James Harden's supposed to be a shooting guard. Like every shoot. In fact, Devin Booker has been playing a lot of point guard the last couple of years. He's spent a lot of time.
But I think he's doing that because they just don't have a point guard.
Yeah. So it really is. It depends on who you consider a shooting guard. It's almost like I would rather answer the best swing. Swing position is a little easier. But if you were talking about, that's why the list that I made was the way that I made it, because it's guys who always play shooting guard or only considered shooting guards. And these days, a lot of those guys are a little bit of the shorter guys who can't play point guard. So your CJ McCollums, your Donovan Mitchells, your Bradley Beals. These are all guys who are shooting guards, only shooting guards. Jimmy Butler could play an entire season at small forward and nothing would change.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, as long as he's with Philly, that's pretty much what he will be playing small forward
Correct.
because of JJ Redick. So,
And nothing hasn't changed Jimmy Butler at all. He's doing the same stuff.
yeah, oh yeah, because I mean, the 2 and the 3 are pretty much interchangeable depending on the offense, but it depending on the team. Like, it's not interchangeable if LeBron's on the team because that yeah.
Well, he can play the 4. I think it's also about size too. The guys who are over 6'6", they'll move back and forth depending on what's necessary. But the guy,
Yeah.
oh, and shout out to Karis LeVert, who's a very, very good young shooting guard. But yeah, that's if it depends on who you consider a shooting guard, because positionless basketball has guys moving around. Also, to mention Chris Middleton again. What position does that guy play? Is he a 2, a 3, a 4?
I think he's definitely a 2. I think he's definitely a 2. Like here's the definition that I'm going by, right? If you look at their starting lineup, the starting lineup of the team that they currently play for now, where do they start in on the team that they currently play for now? So that's kind of what I was thinking with that question. Which is the reason why I kind of put some people in a different spot, because I'm like, okay, what position do they play now? So Jimmy would definitely have to be considered a 3 because he plays the 3 in the starting lineup for the team that he's on right now, because JJ Redick starts at the 2.
Mm-hmm.
So that, and for that same reason, what you were talking about with James Harden, to me, that's why James Harden has to be considered a 2, because when his team is together, then he plays a 2. He plays the 2. Because Chris Paul starts at the 1, and Chris Paul, I mean, they can interchange and go back and forth, and Chris Paul can play off the ball, or Harden can play off either one. But if you break it down by defensive assignment, then Harden is going to have the 2 more than likely. And then Paul is going to have the 1. Paul is definitely going to have the 1 for the most part. He, is not going to guard anybody else. But, so yeah, I don't know. Your 5 was, who was it? Harden.
Well, okay, so Jimmy's not a small forward, right? So
no, Jimmy's a small forward.
I mean, Jimmy's a small forward. So then it's Harden, Clay. I really like the way Bradley Beal is playing. I'm going to put him 3rd. Because his playmaking has gone up, and he's better without John Wall. So I would say he's 3rd. I'll probably go Donovan Mitchell as 4 and CJ McCollum as 5. That'd probably be my 5.
And that's very interesting, because I think our 5s are going to be the most different for this particular position.
Yeah.
Than any of the other ones. Because for me, I have James Harden number 1. I do have Clay number 2, but from there is where things start to get way different for me. I have Victor Oladipo number 3. I know
he's hurt. So the thing is, it's like I'm not. It's the same thing you said. Like you said, Jimmy Butler's not a shooting guard, right? He played shooting guard in Minnesota. That was last year and the very beginning of this year. So we're grading Jimmy Butler off of what he's doing this year. Victor Oladipo is not going to play for the rest of the year, and he's already missed significant time because he was missing time before he got the serious injury. So I don't even have him on the list. So I would say if he was on the list, then I would have him in my top 5. But I don't consider him on the list. So let's just make your top 5 without guys who ain't gonna play the rest of the
year. I didn't necessarily mean like, I didn't mean it that way, where people you had to be playing this year. I mean, if you got hurt this year, I mean, it'd be different if you, like, I don't know. I mean, I can take. I mean, I can. He actually, his shooting was way down this year too. But still, I defensively,
his defense is awesome. But he's out. He's
fantastic. Defense is fantastic. I mean, if I had to grade down, because I would have had him 3rd.
Yeah, sub him out.
And I would have had 4th. I would have had Drew Holiday.
I like Drew Holiday. I don't like Drew Holiday at shooting guard more than I like Bradley Beal or CJ McCollum.
Yeah, I like Drew because I think he does, like, he can't score quite like McCollum, but he can score well enough. And the defense, I think he's the best defensive two guard in the league now. I think he has passed Clay as the best defensive two guard in the league. And so I love that part of it. And then he can also distribute. And I mean,
he's a point guard by trade up
he's a
until
beast.
recently. I still have the reason I have Beal and McCollum above is because their scoring ceiling is higher. And from the two guard position, I want scoring first and foremost, defense second, playmaking third, rebounding fourth. And I put the scorers above the guys who can't really put it up like that.
Yeah, I definitely give them an edge in scoring, but as overall, I like Drew. And then I would say my fifth guy would have been CJ McCollum. So then he would go up to fourth. And then so if I have to bring in a guy, I would actually give prepare the hate. Prepare it. Get the hate ready.
Are you bringing in Derrick Rose?
No.
Zach LaVine?
He's not a shooting. Derrick Rose is not a shooting guard.
You ain't gonna say Zach LaVine, are you?
I'm gonna say Zach LaVine.
Oh my good Lord.
No. Okay. Now, how in the world are you going to tell me that having Zach LaVine as my sixth best shooting guard is a preposterous statement based off of the way he's played this year? How can you say that? How can you say that?
Listen, man, I'm not gonna justify his Chicago craziness, man.
I'm just saying, how can you say that? Like Brad Beal is having a better year statistically. Brad Beal's having a fantastic year. 26 a game, just under 26, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. Having a fantastic year, shooting the ball pretty well, 35% from three, 48% from the field overall. It's having a fantastic year.
Yet you have Zach LaVine above him.
I do have Zach LaVine above
How
him.
is that? How?
I think that Zach is still a better playmaker than he is. I think that Zach is more explosive off the dribble. I know Zach is more explosive off the dribble than he is. I think Zach creates his shot better. Zach's shooting better from 3-point range than him. I believe Zach is a better free throw shooter than he is. I think Zach is. I think it's very close. Don't get me wrong. I think it's very close. But
wait. You said a better free throw shooter?
I think he shouldn't. I think he might have. I think he might have him.
So one is at 83%, the other one's at 87%.
Yeah, like Zach is shooting 86% from free throw line.
86. So 83 and 86%.
That's more, isn't it?
It's the fact that you would even bring that up. It's like two guys who always get their free throws.
Because it's close, you have to look at things like that because it's very close. It's very close. Deciding the difference is going to be super close. I mean, if somebody said Brad Beal's better, I can't say that's crazy, but I don't think you can say it's crazy that you put Zach LaVine as the 5th best shooting guard in the league to this year based off the way he's played.
I think you're Chicago showing.
I mean, how can a dude that's averaging 23?
You say he's a better playmaker and he plays more minutes at the point and he averages less assists.
He also has, come on, have you seen our team most of the year? Who's he passing to? Markkanen missed almost the entire season. Who's he passing to? I mean, who's he passing to?
There's plenty of people putting up assist numbers.
No, man. He has nobody to pass. He has to create.
Well, who has less to pass to, him or Trae Young? It's comparable, right?
Nah, but Trae Young only has really the one guy. He has the rim runner. Mm-hmm. But that rim runner is a big deal because he has Collins is a budding elite level rim runner.
I'm just glad that these things go on the internet so everybody can see what happens.
Just saying, I don't think it's preposterous.
This is just to make up for Dwyane Wade's haircut. That's what's happening.
It is.
Dwyane Wade got the haircut, so now
we have to do something about it.
Shooting guard in the league.
You know that's not crazy.
I apologize.
You know that's not crazy.
I think it is crazy.
How is it crazy? How can a dude that's averaging 23, just under 5 rebounds, just under 5 assists?
How's his defense?
Huh?
How's his defense?
His defense can definitely improve. It's not as bad as it was early in the season, but he can definitely improve.
Who do you think is the best?
At this
Who's
point,
the better defender between him and Bradley Beal?
I think because I don't think that Beal is an outstanding defender.
He's not Victor Oladipo, but I'm just asking a question.
I don't know. I think I might give Brad Beal an edge because he's physically stronger. But I don't think he's any more of a willing defender than Zach. I mean, Zach plays the passing lanes pretty well, which is still defense.
How come he got less steals than Bradley Beal?
Hey man, I'm just telling you, he plays the passing lanes.
So he scores less, he defends less, he averages less.
You can't say you cannot say he defends less. You cannot say he defends less. Steals are not a end all be all assessment of how well a person defends. You can't say that. I don't know. I mean, Brad Beal definitely takes care of the ball better too. He takes care of the ball better, but it's a different team. I hope
you're proud of yourself.
It's a different team, man. It's a different team. It's a different team. Look at what Zach has done next to Otto Porter compared to what Brad Beal, and look at the team. Look at the team, man. The Bulls don't have other options, man, outside of Laurie now. And Laurie didn't come until the Bulls season was already dead when Laurie made his debut. I'm just trying to tell you. And you look at the way Zach's playing right now. Have you been looking at what Zach's been doing right now lately? You haven't, have you?
No.
I know you haven't.
No.
So you missed the 42-point game against the Celtics, huh?
Man, you missed that. The Celtics was a mess, letting them fools do. They thought they was going to come in and do whatever they felt like doing. And the Bulls said, no, we showed up to play. And the Celtics was just like, oh, man. And they just didn't do anything.
And Larry Markkinen had 35 in that game, too. Markkinen and Levine combined for 77 points.
How did we get – is this a Chicago Bulls topic? Is this what you do?
We're talking about
There's nothing relevant about your team aside from the fact that they win in games they ain't supposed to win. And you find a way –
You got that right. Now,
find a way to bring them up.
That we agree on.
Is this how you cope for not getting that diamond, Zach LaVine?
Did you know Zach almost had a bad game against the Bucks, but he almost had a triple-double. 11 points, 8 rebounds, 9 assists, 2 blocks in a bad game.
How many turnovers?
Yeah, he only had 2 turnovers that game.
Oh, that's good stuff.
And so that's a better than 4-1 assist.
How much Chicago win by?
They lost. They lost to Milwaukee.
Okay.
Lost to Milwaukee, man. They lost to the team. Come on, man. It's Milwaukee. They're 46-14. Everybody else lost to them too.
I would rather, if Chris Middleton is a shooting guard, I would take Chris Middleton over Zach LaVine.
That's because Chris Middleton, they're listing Chris Middleton as a small forward. So
that's right. It depends on how you consider him.
Take him out there. Take him out of there.
You don't want to deal with that reality.
No, I mean,
you know what? I honestly, and I'm not even joking you, I would take Buddy Hield over Zach LaVine.
No, that would be a mistake.
Nah, I got Buddy. I think he's a better shooter.
I think he's a better shooter, but
what's the position called?
Oh, come on now.
That's what I want.
Come on now. You know there's more. You know there's more to this than that.
It'd be different if you were talking about a lockdown defender, right?
But are we discounting the fact that Zach can get to the basket whenever he wants?
But it's not like Buddy can't get to the basket. And the thing is,
Buddy can't get to the basket like Zach.
Zach is not, in my opinion, a guy that is consistently breaking down the defense in a way that creates winning basketball. But I think Buddy is a guy that is consistently hitting shots that creates winning basketball. Buddy Hield could catch fire.
Buddy Hield's a good player, but Buddy Hield's effectiveness is more dependent upon his teammates than Zach's is. And that's because
how is Zach being effective when y'all got 16 wins?
Well, I didn't. No. I'm not saying that he's being effective.
You a mess. So Zach is your official number 5 above Bradley Beal.
Yes.
Wow.
Just saying.
Y'all saw it here first.
Just saying.
Quality analysis.
See, you like to give anyone credit who can discredit John Wall. I don't know what happened between you and
This
John
ain't
Wall. Y'all
nothing
had
to
a fight
do with
somewhere
John
in between
Wall.
Washington, D.C. and
Stop
New York.
creating narratives.
I don't
Every
know.
time I
You
criticize a
did.
player,
You said it
it's
earlier.
something
I
they've
think
done.
he's better without John Wall because
He
I
is
hate
better
John
without
Wall.
John. He's
John
better without
Wall
John
is a
Wall.
sucker. You know, just you slap. I heard like under your breath, you're like, I hate John Wall. Like I heard that. Like I heard it. I heard it.
Do
Like
you want your team to trade for John Wall?
depends on what they give up.
I mean, anybody good?
No, I wouldn't want to. I wouldn't want the Bulls to trade anybody from the core at this point. With the addition of Otto Porter, I like the little
16
mix.
wins. Talking about how his core is untouchable.
I
It's
like the
basically
mix.
great
No,
John Wall.
no, I like the mix of what's going on. I do. I would really like for them to draft Ja Morant, but they are currently playing themselves out of that reach right now, which is stupid. But it is what it is.
Luckily for
But
y'all, we win in a few games too.
yeah, I know Mitchell Robinson looks like a freaking maniac.
What I tell you. What I tell you.
17 and 14 yesterday.
How many blocks?
5, I think.
I think so. The boy is ridiculous.
Yeah,
I told y'all if I wouldn't be surprised if he was the best or second best big man in the draft, and he is the second best rookie big man right now, behind DeAndre Ayton. But the thing is, he's the best defensive rookie big man, and in today's league, I think you would rather have a guy who's a rim runner, shot blocker, rebounder than a guy who's a post up mid range shot guy. So until Ayton develops a 3-point shot, I think Mitchell Robinson is the kind of center I'd rather have. I'd rather have Clint Capella than Valanciunas. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, I think Ayton is such a good athlete. I think he can be the rare guy that can be a little bit of both. So I think that's the only difference there. But
Ayton he should get better. I mean, hopefully he takes the defensive end seriously and rebounds. But
yeah, I think that if the team gets better, I think
maybe
it'll be an easier sale.
I tell you what though. And I almost brought this up last week. You talk about needle movers.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say that our biggest need, even though Knox might be the best long-term prospect, Trier is the most polished rookie that we have in terms of offensive skill set. Our biggest needle mover is Mitchell Robinson. He is the guy who, if he's on the court, the Knicks are significantly better. It's actually not as easy to tank when he's in there and not in foul trouble, because he just genuinely changes the dynamic of our team that much, you know.
Yeah,
and,
I mean he's impressive. I mean,
yeah,
that was a heck of a pick, you know.
Yeah. Oh, we drafted out of our minds this year.
Yeah,
if we draft this well next year, I'm good with our future.
I mean, and then you look at like Damian Dotson and all these other guys that they have. I mean, it's if they need 2 stars, if they can get 2 stars in there.
Oh, we good. Yeah, if and that's why, even though I don't like the get rich quick schemes, the fact of the matter is, if we did get those 2 free agents, we have the young talent around them to keep some of that young talent, because now we got some decent shooters, but to also get rid of the rest, the ones who don't fit, and trade them in for veterans that would help fill out the roster. So the Knicks, they've put themselves in good position if they got those 2 free agents.
Yeah, man. I mean, you talking about like you adding like Durant and Jimmy Butler, or Durant and Kyrie. Yeah, it gets different because with Mitchell Robinson out there, it gets different. It gets different. So you see how I allowed a conversation about the Knicks. You see how I just did that. You see how I did that.
I allow a conversation about Chicago.
Like I didn't even
you
try.
Like every time.
I even indulged it. Like I complimented Mitchell Robinson.
All you doing is trying to jinx us from getting 2 free agents. That's all this is.
Like you know what? The Bulls are irrelevant in the free agent market anyway, so it doesn't even matter.
You know, I did hear somebody on ESPN, I think it was, talk about if y'all offer Lauri Markkanen, y'all could get in the draft pick, y'all get Anthony Davis.
Probably.
How would you feel about getting Anthony Davis for a year and losing Lauri Markkanen and Rui Hachimura forever?
I don't think that that's a good thing to do, man. I don't think it's a good thing to do at all. I just really I like Laurie.
Yeah.
Is Laurie a better player than Anthony Davis? Probably no. He's not going to be a better
Well,
player than
10 years of Laurie marketing is better than 1 year of Anthony Davis, though.
And even if Anthony Davis was going to stay, right? It's been proven Anthony Davis is going to play 65, 66 games a season. And as much as I love Anthony Davis alone and trying to put people around him who are lesser players than him has not proven to be a winning formula.
Yeah, I think Anthony Davis, he has to move to a winning situation because by himself, he's going to be what he was with the Pelicans, which is a guy who makes all the money. Not particularly fun to watch, which is something people don't talk about a whole lot. He's not a team. He's not a guy that is he's not Zion Williamson.
You know what he is? He is Tim Duncan 2.0.
Yeah.
That's what he is. But he don't win like that.
Yes, without the winning. He's Tim Duncan without the winning.
Yeah. In terms of from a sheer entertainment value, though, watching him play, it's because he does a few more athletic things.
No, he's like when Sean Marion makes himself in the video game, you get.
Yeah.
And that's cool. And I'm sure a team is going to figure out how to make that work. But right now, you talk about needle movers. I think for a guy as good as he is, it's really amazing to watch how Giannis moves the needle so tremendously. And the entire basketball court changes shape according to where Giannis is. And Anthony Davis is that guy that has 25 points. You're like, I thought he had 9.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of it is that Giannis's ability to handle the ball is what changes it. And that's what Anthony Davis can't do. Like Giannis can literally control the ball like a point guard, and that's what changes everything.
Yeah.
Anthony Davis still needs you to give it to him.
Which is funny because he has a good ball handle.
Yeah, but not like Giannis, though.
He need to work on it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it'll ever get like Giannis. I mean, Giannis is like
he's the biggest guard in the game.
Yeah, so it's just different. Like Giannis has the handle like this, and Anthony Davis has the handle like this.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm looking forward to when we do our playoff breakdowns because I think it's really missing. Like people are not understanding what's happening in Milwaukee. Like you've been watching their games?
Yeah, I mean, dude, they are beating them 4 times is going to be really hard.
Like you talk about there's assists and there's assists, right? Mm-hmm. Like when they talk about people drawing the defense and kicking, usually that's still a shot where there's a closeout. Giannis literally draws so much defense that sometimes he passes it to guys and they have time to line it up according to the seams. Like you literally will see Chris Middleton catch the ball, spin that joint, and take be his best possible self at the 3-point line.
You know why though too? It's because he's not attacking from the same point every time.
Yeah.
He's attacking sometimes. He starts his drive not far away from his next closest teammate. And then what happens is when he gets to the basket, the teammate rolls to another point. And
he Euro step over this way.
Yes.
It's really like when I said we talked about Giannis versus LeBron.
Mm-hmm.
And I said I'd never seen anything like Giannis. Even though peak LeBron, I would say, is more athletic, greatest athlete I've ever seen. The fact that this year is his first injury ever, I think, is a testament to that. But that still doesn't take away from the fact that Giannis starts off like Paul George and ends up like Shaq in the same play.
Yeah.
I've never seen that like that before.
Yeah, it's wiltish down close to the basket because he's so
close to that. Like he just literally will dunk on 3 people. And this we talk about like the people moving around on the perimeter. He commands so much attention in the paint after he gets to the paint, and he always gets into the paint, that it's almost like even though he's been hitting more 3-pointers lately, and it looks like he'll have a passable set shot to make you pay once in a while, to make you go for his pump fakes. I almost never want to see it because why does he need to shoot when he creates such great shots for everybody else?
Yeah, man. And the boy, that boy is he's something different.
They're gonna have to deal with him. And by the way, if people talk about them at the end of games, Milwaukee doesn't have a bad option at the end of games.
No.
Who do you not want to have the ball for Milwaukee at the end of game?
I mean, once he drives and he creates whatever he's going to create, all of those shooters out there are capable.
It's not just shooters; they got playmakers, right? So
Yeah.
obviously, Brook Lopez, he's a big man who shoots, so he's carrying a big out too. So that's almost two benefits in one, right? Having a shooter and a shooter who draws a center out of the paint. But Eric Bledsoe could catch and finish and get free throws and finish, shoot a mid-range shot in the lane. It's a good shot. Mm-hmm. Chris Middleton gets you 3 different good shots. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And they just got what's his name? Is it Ilyasova they just got?
Yeah.
No, it was Mirotic.
Mirotic.
Oh, are you kidding me?
Man, I'm telling you.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, man. You talking about spacing the floor?
Like they have. It's funny because on an individual basis, Philadelphia has an individual all-star starting 5. But from a schematic standpoint, Milwaukee, you talk about fitting together the puzzle pieces, it's scary.
Yeah, man. They beating them 4 times is going to be tough. It's going to be tough. So that is all that we have today on At Me Bro. Now we are going to be taking care of some questions from Ask Us Bro. Shortly after this, it'll be a separate show. It's actually not going to be very long because y'all didn't give us a lot of questions. So that's on.
What?
They only gave us 3 this time. They don't love us anymore.
Especially after the way they jumped in on that Wilt topic too. Yeah, people showed up for that.
They did. They liked the Wilt topic, but they didn't like us anymore after that. I think it was you. I think they were mad at you because you disrespected Wilt.
I think we got too many baseball questions. That was the problem.
That could have been the problem. But shout out to my wife for coming up with the hilarious baseball thumbnail.
That was brilliant.
So she came up
that
with
was
that.
Genius.
And I just laughed out loud as soon as I saw it. I was like, that's pretty funny. And so I dug it. So yeah, that's all we got. I appreciate everybody watching and coming through. Remember, like and subscribe. We would love to. That's like the new thing. We really want to get this channel partnered for obvious reasons, but it'll also open up some stuff for us to be able to do some better stuff, like the live stream options will be there in the event that we want to go live directly from here and then do some other stuff like that. But it'll just be dope, be able to use some NBA stuff since we talk so much NBA. So be really cool. So just help us continue to grow, and we'll be happy. So appreciate everybody watching as always. God bless and peace.